Alright. Think it's started streaming. Gotta go on to Twitters and do things. Make sure that it's going. We got audio.
Hey guys, Summit here.
We got audio on the ads. That's definitely for sure. Let's see. At TextQuest game dev stream is now live. Come watch. Alright, and I need to pick out a cool image because I need to post more pictures. Let's see. Unity, TextQuest, media. Screenshots? No. Social uploads. I don't think I have any good ones. I should have done this a little bit ahead of time. I forgot to, though. So, I guess what we'll just end up doing is... well, let's see how good this looks. Not great. Not bad. But not great. Not sure how I got that GIF to look so nice. Well, we'll just post that as the image. And then hashtag game dev. Cool. Alright. And we will tweet. So, let's go ahead and actually officially start everything. Hello, everyone. This is Chris Ingerson. It is February 9th, and this is the February 9th TextQuest dev stream. And again, paranoia. So nice. Good. Just making sure that I got audio. So, it is Tuesday, so we're going to be doing textures and art and other cool things involving sprites and props today. First off, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update where I am with the Canyon level. The last couple of streams I've been working on this, making sure that it's brought back up to code, basically. I have basically not fully remodeled it, but I've made some edits. I've simplified the geometry for the ocean. It's now just one big quad. Before it actually had sort of cropping here that just added some extra polygons that weren't really needed. So I just simplified that to one big quad, moved it back a little bit. I need to get a drink. Apparently I have a really dry mouth. Like 5 seconds into the stream. Anyway. Simplified some of the UVs a lot. Don't have extra faces that we don't need them. Deleted some faces that we weren't using or that could never be seen. Got rid of the stuff up top. Still have the river up there just in case, because you can sort of see. Oops. You can sort of see some of that edges, some of that edging from below if you're up here. So I just went ahead and kept that, and I kept the river to accurately bounce any lighting off of it because it tends to bounce the color of the texture off. So I wanted to make sure that that was getting the correct color. I need to do some more UV layouts. Hello, 18 Mark Quick. Doing pretty well. Just going over the stuff I've done for the Canyon level so far since the last stream. I need to do a little bit of UV movement. It seems like my UVs got shifted at some point for stuff like the river. You can see that I have these sort of leaking coming up over here, which is weird because I don't remember it looking like that in the actual Maya file, so I don't know what happened here. I've noticed that texture actually in a couple of other places too. I went back and looked at my castle levels, and it seems like all the UVs shifted a little bit for some reason. I don't know why that is. Anyway, you can sort of see it with this river too. Not as noticeable here, but down on this side, you can definitely notice it because you're getting the river cropping into the side. So all I need to do is just shift this UV over a little bit. And now everything in the scene is fully using Substance. So everything from the dirt to the canyon walls, in the middle of the scene, so it takes forever to scroll. I redid the texture Substance for this tile system. Originally it was just sort of this weird off-brand shrine thing, and now it actually says shrine tile with stone as a base. I'm still trying to find a good lighting solution for these staircases because well, essentially these staircases have to move, so I can't bake the shadows onto them, which makes it a little frustrating to try and get shadows to accurately cast. And in fact, you can see that, oh, why are you not casting shadows? Well, that's interesting. So for some reason, my mesh isn't casting shadows here. Well, something happened. I had that working. Well, anyway, so that's, as always, the biggest problem I have is non-static lighting. So I'm trying to figure that out a little bit and try to figure out a good solution to that. But aside from that, everything is working. All the animations, all the textures, everything's up there and it's finished. By the way, happy birthday! I would send you cake, but I have none to send. It looks like I need to rebake my... Well, I did a quick and dirty bake with my light map. In fact, I've actually lowered my light map resolution. If we look at it, by default it was 1024. I've actually lowered it to 512 for my atlas size. Just because at 1024 my file size was about 100 megabytes, and having it to 512 just halved it to 53 megabytes, and that's really nice. I think I can clean up some of this dirty. You can see this edging effect. I think I can clear some of that up by. Oh, you know what? I wonder if that's my ambient occlusion. If so, that's really sloppy ambient occlusion. Oh, well, that would be why, because it's casting shadow onto a plane. Huh. Well, I might get rid of that plane because it's basically going along there anyway, so that's an extra polygon that doesn't need to be drawn. Okay, well, I'll have to do that later. I didn't notice that. And I've realigned all of my UVs on the canyon itself. So if you remember before, I was talking about the sides of this not matching up, so it would say can instead of canyon. Fix that. And that's basically it. Oh, and while we're here, I'll go ahead and show you my ocean texture, which I'll probably have to show you that in Substance Player to get a better look at it. I'm actually a little sad. So before we go over there, I'll show you the waterfall texture. I changed the waterfall texture so that it actually has different smoothness values. Got a little too close. But you can't really see it for some reason, because normally the light would be reflecting off of this a little bit. So you'd see like little glimmers in the waves for it, but it just doesn't seem to be working with baked lighting. So I'm worried that you have to have a real-time dynamic light for that to work, which would kind of suck, but wouldn't surprise me, I suppose. Let's go ahead and get rid of my cursor. So this is the ocean texture, and it's a little subtle, but if you look, you can actually see the normal map is scrolling. And it's probably actually incredibly hard to see that on the stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and open that file directly. So let's go to TextQuest, Art, Substance Environment, Overworld, Canyon, and Ocean. And I'll just show you this in Substance Player. So this is what it looks like. And then I can actually play, and it will scroll my normal map. And to do the offset, I think I'm going to go 0.1 in each direction so it's a little easier to see. It's not quite as violent. But this is what I have it doing, just so that it sort of looks like simulated waves over the ocean. It actually came out pretty well. It wasn't that difficult to do. I just made use of the substance node that we had built a while ago for time-based oscillations. So it's the same thing that I used for the emissive scrolling on my lava texture, basically. If we actually look at it, we can break it down a little bit more. So the actual texture itself, you can see, is just really simple. It's just two normal maps, basically, overlaid on top of each other. And then this Transformation 2D has its offset set up by a function that just oscillates between two values. So it wasn't anything particularly fancy. I mean, it turned out really nice, actually. So that's basically where that level is. I'm still in the process of updating some of the scripting side of things, so things are a little busted still. But I am working on getting that stuff resolved fully, and hopefully we'll be able to finish that up soon. Just because it's been quite some time since I've actually sort of ran around in these levels, since these were some of the earliest levels I built. So I'm really going to have to dig into them to mess around with them. These not light map static? Oh, they are. Why aren't they casting shadows? That's kind of annoying. Well, so, tonight, we're going to be working on props first for the castle quarters. Specifically, I want to put some props in this initial hallway. I think if we hit play, we should pop in. Oh, of course not, because we have no references everywhere. Oh, right, because I can't do it from the... Oi. So if I just pull global in, I think it'll work. Apparently not. Apparently I don't have it. Oh, right, because I would get rid of that. So, joy! That means that I have to do this. I really need a better way of doing this. A lot of this stuff should automatically happen, but I think because everything's busted, it's not going to want to cooperate with me. So, if we just hit play, we should be able to move around. So currently, it's fairly basic in here. Nothing too fancy. We have the instructional paintings, so you know, mouse to move, mouse to look, sprinting, interacting, and how to open doors. I would like to have some clutter on these walls, just because it feels very empty in here. And I was thinking about it before the stream, and I was, sort of picturing like a bunch of armor, a bunch of tables with stuff on them. And as I started thinking more and more about it, I realized that that's not necessarily the correct way to go. Because if I just put a bunch of stuff in here, people are going to want to mess with it. And because of the philosophy of this game, where if you can see it, most of the time you can interact with it, I would have to make all that content. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a single repeating asset, which is going to be a suit of armor. So it's just going to be like one armor there, one armor there, one armor there, one armor there. Maybe not there because there's a painting there. One armor there, one armor there, one armor there, one armor there, armor there, there, and there, just to help break up this empty wall, because there's nothing here, and I can't put, because this is basically the instructional area, I can't put too much in here without confusing people. Ah, you have to leave already? Well, good to see you again. Thank you for stopping by, and happy birthday again. Go have fun. Yeah, you can see this stuff happening right here. It's like there's a height map, but there shouldn't be a height map on these materials. But that would explain why it sort of has this weirdo look to it. You know what? Actually, let me check this material. So this is the carpet material. Go to our inspector. Castle carpet. This should not have a height map. And it doesn't. But for some reason, our camera is giving us that effect. I don't know if that's a bug in Unity. It could be, which would be very infuriating. But I'm not going to worry about it now. I sort of noticed it in the canyon as well, but I didn't think anything of it. It's just really noticeable when you see it. Anyway, so like I was saying, I don't want to put too much stuff in here because it would very easily confuse people. That was the entire point of having this sort of simple hallway, so you can't really wander around and get confused on where you're supposed to go. You start looking at the controls. You can't really do anything until you learn how to look around and move. Sprinting just helps you move around faster. Interactions are the next thing, and so on and so on. So I think I'm just going to use the armor, or the suits of armor, basically, because there'll be enough color to break up those empty walls, but they will not be so confusing and so tempting to interact with that the player will want to, run up to them and try to do everything to them. Of course, they can, but most people aren't going to want to do that if it's so simple. So yeah, now it looks like it's fixed itself. Super weird. So that's what I've been thinking about. That's what I thought about before the stream. And the reason I want to put Suits of Armor in there is actually so I can reference the original King's Quest. So you can see this is a screen from the first room in the castle in King's Quest 1. Which, if you remember when I was first designing this level, I talked about how I wanted to basically have a giant homage to this, which is why this first hallway is a hallway. And why it, just goes straight and then turns left. Of course, I did add that extra curve for tutorial reasons, but that's why everything's just straight left, straight left. So I would like to have these sort of suits of armor be the props in here. And if I feel like it later on, if I feel like it's still not enough, then I might come back and model these arches as well. Just because, hey, I like a challenge. So we'll stick in some suits of armor, see what that looks like. And if we're not happy with it, then we'll come in and model these sorts of arches to take up some extra room in those hallways. So let's go ahead. And I actually have a texture already done for it, but I did it a long time ago, and it actually came out poorer than I would have liked. It does not look nearly as good. Just because I tried to atlas it, and that apparently gives you some weird effects with point interpolation, or not interpolation, point sort of formatting. So I'm just going to go ahead and remake these in Photoshop real quick. And I'm not going to use Knight, I'm just going to use Armor. I can close my timeline, don't need that. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and do new. Let's do 512. Don't really need to go 1024, I don't think, for this. It's been a while since I've had to use Photoshop. Call it Armor. And we'll have our background. Then I'll drag outside the layer, color it in black. And then we'll swap back over, go to our text layer, Commodore 64, 72-point font, no anti-aliasing. Let's go white color, and we will say R more. Why are you gray? Okay, well that's kind of annoying, but sure, why not? So we have our armor. We're going to want to go ahead and open up our panel. And let's bump this up to 120. Change our points to 108. Let's try 120. That's our sizing. I'm sorry, I wanted to go backwards. Actually, 96. That's not bad. Gives us good spacing. I want to... I'm debating if I should try to be clever and have armor and armor, like armor, which would be the UK spelling of it. So 256, not 2556, 256, 256. So have an extra U in there if it detects that you're in Britain or anywhere with Britain spelling, which I guess would also be Canada. I won't worry about that for now. That would be funny, but I'm not going to worry about it for now. So that's all that needs to be. We can just go ahead and save that out. And art, textures. Let's see. Where should I put this? Props? I kind of want to say props. Do I have a props? I don't have a props. We'll go to textures. Let's go new folder. Call it props. We will have a new folder. Call it armor. And we'll just call this armor.psd. And actually, I could probably crop this even. 256. 28. Here. So 256 by 512. That works out really well. Save that. Save it out as a PNG. Hit OK. Bam. Super simple. Go to Art, Textures, Props, Armor, Armor.png. Come back here. So we have interactions. I'm just going to go ahead and say, oh man, I probably need to redo my art folder a lot. Because there's a lot of stuff in here. Go to Create, Folder, Props. Oh man, I wonder how much of this I should try to make an atlas. Oh, that would be an interesting challenge. But I'm not going to worry about that tonight. Maybe. Maybe I will. That would be an interesting thing to try. It's not really much of an issue here because this would be the only prop, so to say. So we will make this from a texture to a sprite. We'll call this props for our packing tag. Pixels per unit, 100 is probably fine. Filter node or filter mode point. Do max size 1024, and then no need to generate bitmaps. Hit apply. All right. So if we were to say drag this into the scene right there. Oh, interesting. They've added flipping. That's convenient. Real quick, let's go back here. I'm going to go ahead and put the pivot at the bottom. Apply. Just because that'll make things a lot easier for us. We don't have to worry about offsets. In general, I try to keep any props, keep their pivot at the bottom of them. Just because if it's in the middle of the prop, then whenever you position it, you have to position it like plus 2y basically every time. Whereas if you have it at the very bottom of the prop, you're just sliding it around on the ground, which makes sense because that's where, you know, your stance would be if you were an actual thing in the world. So we have armor. Let's go ahead and move that down to 0. So looks like we're a little bit above the world because of course we are. And so to get this to work properly, we're going to have to do a couple of things. One, new game object. Bring this up, put this up here. Call this model. Call this armor. Go down. Call this collision. Actually, you know what? Screw it. We're going to rotate this 180 because of the way rotation works. For some reason, sprites are facing the wrong way. I don't know why they do it like that, but they do. All right. So next, we're going to add interactive object. Then to the model, we're going to add a sprite module. And we will also add a box collider. Move it up. And then we'll add a collision module. Now, let's see. I'm going to rotate this guy, the actual armor, 90 degrees, and he's just going to be facing like that. Let's see how he looks when we're playing. I don't want him to be like giants, which they kind of turned out to be giants. So if we go back here, pixels per unit, let's see, let's do 128. Apply. All right. That's a little bit better, I think. It's not obscenely large. It's not like the giants from Dark Souls. God, I hated those things. The giant armors from Anno Elando. Ugh. Drives you crazy. Let's remove that and let's just re-add it. It's easier to let the game engine calculate out bounds for collisions. The X for the size, we're going to go ahead and make that 1. Nice. So it's not, coming out of nowhere and blocking you. Go ahead and move this up because I like to have my Unity scripts up at the top and my own custom scripts at the bottom. And that's pretty much all I need to do for that. I don't need to worry about sprite sorting, fortunately, because it is world space. So it's not going to be that problem that we ran into with the wizard where the beard sort of clipped into the wizard's body because of a weird sorting error, which I still haven't fixed. I need to figure out a good workaround for that. Not sure why they did it like that, but who am I to question the people at Unity and all their wisdom? Let's go ahead and make this a y of 1, so it's even. Y of negative 100, or x of negative 100. So it's nice, and a z of 54. So let's go ahead and move you to about here. Let's do negative 99.5. 0.5. There we go. It's about halfway between the wall and the rug. That is pretty good. I like that. Just got to switch this guy over to our interactive layer. Yes, change children. And boom. There we go. Now I can make a prefab of them. So let's go to prefabs. Create folder props. Well, hello, Swag Gaming Live Nation. Thank you for tuning into the stream. Currently, I don't need anything extra, really. Mostly I'm just doing the actual development side of things. I haven't really done much for the anything extra. But give me a second to make this a prefab, and then I'll answer you in chat. Go ahead and make a new folder. Call it castle. Create folder. I will call this intro. Drag castle underneath there. And then we'll go ahead and pull armor into castle. Nice. And we'll zero all this stuff out. And there we go. Let's see. It's weird typing into chat while I'm doing the stream stuff. I'm trying to also think about what I'm going to be doing next. Because I got to lay out, I got to position these guys. Anyway, so before we go too much further, we have our environment, we have our props. Here we go. All. Go ahead and put this in here. I have paintings. I really like to keep my scene organized. No, wait, don't tell me I already did this. Oh, I sort of already did this. Oh, man. Well, that's basically what it would look like, just with armor. I remember liking that. So, let me take a look at this then. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to have to update it so that I have the armor sprite and not the knight sprite. Doesn't look bad. I remember liking it. And I think it does really help break up the walls a lot. I do like the new scale a little bit more though. So this armor object, it feels a little bit larger than you do, which is good because you want it to sort of take up more space. These guys I tried to make them, I believe, player size, and that makes them look a little bit less intimidating, and they take up far less room. So I think I'm going to replace these guys with my armor sprite, and then they're basically going to go in the exact same position. That's... I already did this. Go figure. But you can see what I was going for. It helps break things up pretty nicely. So go ahead and hit play. Let's turn off the knights and let's add a door. Okay. Pull our exit door down there, and then we'll have armors. Armors. Pull this in. Duplicate it. Rotate it 180 degrees. And bam. Simple as that. Duplicate it. Move it down to about there. Not bad, not bad. Let's duplicate this. Position it. Try here. Say 0 rotation. I lied. 180 rotation. And we will do 52.5 Z and negative 86. So make things a little bit more even again. Duplicate that. Move it over here. And rotate it. Looking nice, looking nice. I might end up cutting a few of these guys out, just so there's not so many of them, but I think it looks good so far. I need to add more windows or something, because I feel like there's not a lot of good lighting in here, which is a problem I didn't handle too well, I think, when I initially laid out this hallway. Part of it might have been that I was thinking of adding chandeliers, and I just didn't make the hallway tall enough for that. Chandeliers would solve a lot of my problems, though. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and duplicate these. Just drag it down. Switch sides. Then move it to here. Nice. Duplicate this. Move it along. Hit F. Come over here. I believe we're going to go on negative 90. Nope, 90. There we go. And again, we're going to have to make some adjustments. Negative 75.5 versus 41. Let's duplicate that. Drag it out here. So negative 90. Duplicate that. Bam. That's all we got to do for that. Hello, ACP Twitch. This is Text Quest. It is a first-person text-based adventure where everything in the world is literally represented by text. And I am currently working on adding some suits of armor to the starting level of the game to help break up the empty walls. So let's duplicate this guy. Move this. I think we're going to basically have them stop here. I won't have them go right up against the door. Move this. Negative 63 and 28.5 Z. Rotation of 0. Nope, 180. Duplicate this. And bam. Cool. Got our suits of armor in there. So, now to get rid of the ones that I don't particularly like. First off, I can probably turn off my hull exterior so I can see everything a lot easier. And we're going to get rid of these two, I think. So basically it's only at the corners that I have these. I think that works pretty well. Help break things up. But yes, the game itself is a not open world. It is an exploration game where you can interact with pretty much everything and anything, and you can type whatever you want to do to that object. I'm going to guess that all of these are still busted currently, so it would be hard for me to show, but I might be able to update it. Of course not. Never that lucky. These are all old JSON files. Go figure. Got a lot of stuff to update still. It does indeed save on art assets, although you would be surprised. I kind of went overboard since the art was so simplistic. It's actually kind of challenging. A lot of the times the goal is to make things perfectly legible, which means that I'm sort of confined to this more boxy look. If I try to do rounded edges, the text gets distorted and very difficult to read. Anyway, so let's take a look. I like these. It's hard to look at this stuff in the editor because of all the all the aliasing that goes on. There's no anti-aliasing in the editor by default. So we have our armor. I might get rid of these armors too, because they're just kind of in the way. I think they're not quite on the edges, so they're far enough out that it's awkward. And I think having these guys will be enough. Or conversely, I could try to put these guys more in the middle of the hallways, so like here. So they take up a little bit more space. And then here. And then here. And then finally, here, I suppose, so roughly the same spot. And from there, I don't think we could really add too much more to this section prop-wise. Just because, again, this is the tutorial section, and it would be very easy to start confusing people with too many things to interact with. Although, I should definitely put a suit of armor right next to this painting, because people are going to want to interact with something right next to the giant painting that says E to interact when near an object. So, let's go ahead and try positioning that a little bit. So maybe we don't need to have them be perfectly symmetrical, actually. So let's just delete some of the ones that are excess. If I can click on them! But apparently I can't. Armors. So let's go ahead and delete the ones that we already have. Let's say... Why even bother? Seriously? That's infuriating. Okay, let's delete that one. Let's delete this one. Delete you. And I'm just going to go ahead and move this guy to here. And move this guy right there, right next to the painting, so that they are very, very, very easy to see and interact with. Because I would be willing to wager that the first thing people are going to do when they see E to interact with something is they're going to interact with that suit of armor. Even before they interact with the painting itself, probably. I bet they will interact with that suit of armor. Because it's so obvious. It's just right there in front of you. So, after that, let's see. I do like having these two guys right here. Oops. So have them be about midpoint. Let's see what this first screen looks like. Okay, so you can't even see them, which is good. they're too far away from you to interact with them. That's also good. I basically want to make it so that your first screen is literally only those instructions. WAS to move, mouse to look. Which is actually really far away, and I feel I need to blow that text up a little bit to make it a little clearer. I might make that a Text Mesh Pro thing. We might do that in a little bit. But that way, there's just no way that you can miss what you're supposed to do. And you won't get distracted if you're too far back, because you'll have armor everywhere, and you'll be like, don't know what to do. So instead, you start about here. Makes it very clear that you're only supposed to be looking at that. And then if you can look around, you can. And at that point, it won't be so confusing. Cool. So, those guys are fine. Let's see, which ones should be deleted here? Let's delete this guy. He's just kind of hanging out there. Delete that one. I like having this guy be in the middle, right about there. Let's see. 6 is kind of just in the middle, not doing much. I think he's fine there. 11, let's move him to be about in the middle here. Then again, let's get rid of 11 entirely. So now the only real points that you have armor are to break up these sort of spots of emptiness. And then there's nothing in this hallway because we want to basically starve you to interact until you can actually get over here. And from there you get to the door and bam. We get to our main hall. So that's actually not bad. I like it. Yeah, just it's so dark in this level. I really need to find a better way to light it. I think I'm gonna end up adding chandeliers because having the light bounce and be incredibly intense like this, you can see it washes out these colors, and that just it's too much. It makes things look really terrible. So we'll probably end up doing that, getting rid of some of the excess faces that we don't really need. But that's going to be something I do off of the dev stream, just because it's going to be some of that modeling tweaking, and I know how exciting that gets. Let's see. Oh yeah, and all my textures I think I set to 512 by default right now. Oh my god, it's doing the height map thing again. I gotta look into that. So you can see it happening here. As I drag around, it looks like the texture is moving. I don't know why it thinks it has a height map. It shouldn't. And I feel like it's just in the scene view. Except it's not. We've seen it in the actual editor while we play. So we're not seeing it here, fortunately. Doesn't seem like it's affecting it again. But it just randomly crops up, which is very, very disturbing. Anyway, so before we go too much further, I'm going to go ahead and select this prefab. And I'm going to come over to its model, and I'm going to change its color. I want it to be a golden armor set. So, let's go out here. Let's see. Select our color. Let's drag this up to a dark yellow. And do that. Ta-da! The joys of prefabs. Super easy to change everything. So now we have golden armor. If I really, really wanted to get fancy, I could probably make them actually use a texture and not a sprite. I'm not going to go that crazy, though. I like to keep a good balance between sprites and actual textures. But anyway, can't really do anything for it right now. Yeah, I don't have any JSON for it to parse yet. So, look at that. It's doing the height map crap. Has to be a weird bug. Huh. Okay, so we got our props taken care of for the main hallway. Just enough to break up the nothingness, and not enough to confuse everyone. So, do we need this stuff anywhere else? I do not think so. Wow, it's really dark in this room. Whew. So, most of the rooms after that initial hallway are actually pretty well populated. They have either these paintings to cover up the walls or they have a puzzle. So, oh my god, that height map thing is going to drive me crazy. That would explain why I was having, you can see the green peeking out of the bottom of this red. And the blue from that green, but only at really sharp angles. Ah, what the heck? You know what? I bet it is. Yeah, and as soon as I select it, it actually goes away. But I bet, select this. I bet if I, yep, there it is. Their Ansia level is nothing. Or a Niso level. Bam. There we go. That forces everything to look correct. And that's something I got to go back and force. Force all of my textures have 16 anisotropic filtering. Of course, you can set that in the options menu, but in the editor, I want to make sure that that's what they're running at. Because if I can get it performant when it's at 16 times anisotropic filtering, I can never say it, then everything will look really nice. So, let's see. I did make this a non-static object, which is good. Because that needs to go up and down like that. Actually, it just needs to go up. So the only thing I worry about in this room is that this corner is really empty. I would like to have something there. The problem is I don't really have anything to put there. So if I was lazy, I could have the bed slide over, except I need it there to rise up to teach people how to crouch. So I might just leave it blank for now. Ugh. Drive me crazy. Or, yeah, look at that. It's so bad. Let's see, chest. Bam. That forces it back into place. I think that's good there. So, I have to do some more experimenting with light probes. Because that stuff is still wizardry to me. I don't understand how light probes work. They do not explain them well. Or maybe they do and I just don't know. Light probes are just super weird to me. So, don't really have any more props then. I was kind of hoping I would be able to do more of them, but this map just needs a lot of light probes. But before that, it needs a better lighting solution in general. Because what it has now is not good. I really don't want to have to remodel this entire level again. That was like a month. That was a month of my life. I don't want to do that. It's so bad though. It's not terrible. It just I know that I could make it better. Let's see it snap. See, and then you got stuff like this. That's just sloppy UV placement on my part. Well, dang. Trying to think if there's anything else I can really do with this level right now that doesn't involve heavy UV messing. Probably not. Well, in that case, we might as well go ahead and start working on some substances for older levels again. Start updating things. So if we go to scenes, overworld, let's go to planes. Oh my. Oh wow. Let's turn on our lights. turn off our ambient light. Turn off. I think we can turn off shadow casters too. Now some of this might already be done. So if we go up here, we have our grass tile. Then I believe we have our dirt tiles. So dirt and grass are already taken care of. Our trees are not, I don't think. Nope, they are not. So that's easily done because we already have these. So substances, overworld, plains, forest mountains. Oh, good. So I'm going to have to re-UV these. So I can't really do anything with that. I'm willing to bet that the mountain is going to be the same thing. Select these. Do forest mountain. Yep. Those are not set up properly. So that's a bunch of UVing that I'm going to have to do. Fun! And what else do I have for this? I have dirt, forest mountains, grass, and soil. Okay. Soil should be... excuse me. The soil should be easy enough. Let's pull this in. Bam. It's... great. Looks like... Command Z that. Did I tile this? I tiled it. Okay. So if we come back here to soil, select this, soil, and then I can just tile this. And bam, problem solved. Of course, we're going to want to make sure that that's set to 16 and isotropic filtering. Probably going to have to come back to this at some point just to make it look better, but guessing it's 512, let's bump that up to 1024, hit apply, bam. Yeah, actually looks pretty good. Came out really well. Makes me happy because it means that I don't have to redo it. Since this was one of the older ones, I might double check this just to be sure. But it looks like everything's alright. Yeah, it seems like it should be fine. Alright. And I wonder, just out of curiosity, okay, that didn't do much. I was wondering if changing the filter mode to point would actually give me better results, but it doesn't look like it changes much. Let me try it one more time. Yeah, it doesn't change much. So we'll just keep it at bilinear. Getting a little bit of that sort of color bleed that I don't like. I need to look into that, see if there's a good way to get away from that. And it could just be because the way that I make textures, you know, the way I need them to behave, it's not geared towards that. Because it's obviously geared towards more procedural generation of stuff, and text is clearly not procedural. So I end up using a lot of maps. But I'm sure we can get something. Let's change this from hard shadows to, not no shadows, soft shadows. That's all good. These are all garbage. These need to be completely redone with better textures. And I think I actually have the Illustrator files for these. Let's check. Let's go to Art, Textures, Environment, Planes. Let's go to Environment Overworld Planes. Soil, wheat. I bet this is going to open up with Edge. Yeah. You know, I don't really know if I want to open SVGs with Illustrator or if I want to open them with Chrome. I'm honestly not sure. I kind of want to do it with Chrome, but we'll do it with Illustrator because I'm going to be opening this up anyway. Um, yeah, there we go. So I did make the texture. It came out okay, not great. You can see that things sort of bleed into each other a little bit. I think that's because it's not quite pixel perfect, which gives it a little bit of an offset problem. Makes it very difficult to work with. I believe that's probably just my mask. It is. Right side. Yeah. So, select that and nudge it. Ah, that's so gross. So I'd probably have to redo this just to get rid of those offsets. Ugh, I'm not going to do that tonight. That's going to be a lot of finagling. That would be very boring to watch on the stream. But, can close Photoshop now. And let's see. Oh, have we made our wood sign yet? Let's see. I think we have. Let's see if we do. Keep our textures open so I don't have to keep going back and forth between the two of them. Let's grab our substances. Let's go to Art, Substance, Environment, Overworld, Plains. So we have dirt, grass, soil. Oh, interesting. I already have wheat. Huh, that didn't turn out terribly, actually. That's my problem, though, is that you have that very obvious edging. Not crazy about that. Get rid of that. Oh, I do already have the sign in there. How convenient. Ah, but I did have problems with the direction the wood was facing. The wood pattern there. It's all facing one way. Yeah, that's not a problem. I think that's fine. Let's see if I have that working, actually. So let's come back here to Unity. I don't have that working yet. Also, I haven't imported it. That would be why. So let's show that in Explorer. Let's move this over here. Plains. And let's just drag wood and sign in. Select this. And we will just apply the wooden sign texture to it. Bam! That actually looks pretty nice. Looks a little low res here, but I'm guessing that's because the let's try this out. NISO 16. I'm willing to bet that's because this is low res, but it could also be because the light map isn't baked properly. So you can see that it really should have finer grain to it, but it kind of looks distorted. Yeah, like everything's off. The sign top there, which I guess that's what I called it instead of top for some reason, but yeah, it's probably gonna have to be re-UV'd to make it work properly. I tried to keep those as close as possible to the originals, but sometimes it doesn't work. Alright, so the next logical things to do that won't require UVing are going to be basically the materials for the log cabin, which I will hold off on because I actually want to redo them entirely. Oh, these windows. So long ago. So long ago. We could work on the trees and the leaves. That would be interesting. Would not look good. I can tell you that. This was a hideous monster to work with before. Everything just looks so nasty. It's all just like this jagged random shape that makes it really hard to work with. But I'm willing to try it. So let's go ahead and make a new layer, or a new file. We'll call it tree. 1024 by 1024, perfectly fine. Come back here. Let's go to environment. Tree. Wow. Yep. This is very old. It's got the old Mac DS files. Oh, that's just going to make me sad. Okay. So it looks like I did a 1024 by 1024 texture, or a 1024 by 512 texture. Ah, that's so hideous. Let me think about how I want to do this. So I can't just do a basic shape tool. I think I'm gonna have to use the pen tool. Oh man, the pen tool. I have not had to use that in forever. So let's go ahead and do this. Tree. Capital T. I'm not a barbarian. Add a new layer. Call it base. Add a new layer. Background. Go up. Text. And we'll add a new layer. We'll call this tree. So we'll have these. Why won't you capitalize T? Put both of these underneath it. And we'll do the same for leaves later on. Don't need to worry about that now though. So let's zoom in. At least we won't have that rasterization because it'll be smoother. It'll be vector based. And actually the first thing I'm going to do before using the pen tool is use the shape tool. And I'm just going to go ahead and lock that base layer. And then I'm going to try to make this rectangle. So there's that. And next, we're going to use our pen tool to actually, oh dear, what just happened? I've never seen that before. Let's lock that. Fortunately, I made these straight points. Makes it very easy to actually make new versions of it. Click. Oh, crap. Well, I guess I'll just adjust this later. And boom. That was actually like almost perfect. All right. And that should, I believe. Yeah, so I want it. Wow, that was like almost perfect. So that should basically be good. As a test case, I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer. Put it at the bottom of base. I guess I could also just turn this stuff off. That works too. Let's grab this path and move it down a little bit. So there we go. Now if I turn off my background, everything's roughly where it should be, which is very convenient. Okay, I was going to say, it looks really rough. Why is it still rough? And that's because it was the old alias side coming in. Cool. So there's our base tree, the background anyway. Next we'll have to do the actual text. So select this, go to type. We will do Commodore 64 pixelized. We'll do 40. Well, let's start with the base. We'll do 120. Make sure it's no anti-aliasing. And then DREE. So I was way too large. Let's change this to 72. 72 it is. Isn't that nice? Let's change our vertical spacing to 72. Nope. 60. Oh, good. It's between those. 66. Oh, dear. 64. Ugh. Don't tell me it's 65. Oh, it's 65. Why such a weird space? Past me was really, really terrible. So there's the base. I'm really... no, that's right. So the reason I put tree there instead of trunk is because I don't have tree anywhere else on the actual tree object. So broad name supersedes specific names if the broad name is what the object is known as. It's the same reason I use skeleton, I believe. No. Oh, when I have a skeleton, I maybe I don't use skeleton anywhere. I might just use spine. Although I do use skull fairly well. Anyway, that's sort of the general principle that I try to live by, though. If you can't make up the individual components, you need to make sure that you get at the very least the actual word across so that people know what they can type. Anyway, so let's lock that. Let's reduce this to 60. Even that was too big. Okay, let's change that to 48. Still too big. 36. Oof, 36, really. Well, it's all vector masks anyway, so it's not like it's really that much of a problem, I suppose. Alright, the next thing, this is going to be fun. Going to be 36 again, but now I need to change my anti-aliasing to sharp. It's going to be ranch. Now the reason I did that is because... oh wow, of course it's smaller than that. 24. That was 24. Looks good. And then let's change our spacing to be negative 25. Negative 50. There we go. Now the reason I did that is because when I have to rotate these, and I first did this with Ocean. I started doing it there. If I have to rotate them and I don't have some sort of aliasing or anti-aliasing, they have hugely jagged edges. So if I change this to none and then disable my background layer, you can see those really choppy edges. But as soon as I come back here and go to sharp, boom, they're instantly softer. So for stuff like this where I have to rotate the words themselves a little bit, and they're not perfect 90 rotations, then I will change their anti-aliasing to actually use sharp anti-aliasing as opposed to none. Anyway, let's turn on the background layer again. Let's duplicate ranch. Move it over here. Rotate. This guy goes here. Ended up looking pretty nice. Not bad, not bad. We will duplicate this again. Duplicate ranch. Let's rotate this. And for this, we're going to make that 36. That looks about right. And that looks to be about the right rotation. Let's duplicate this. Rotate. Move this. And it's not 24. Is it 30? It looks like it's about 30. Nah, crap. Work with me, yeah. Move this up a little bit. Alright, that came out pretty well. So now, if I turn off my background layer and turn on my actual background layer, things look a lot sharper. Not as much rasterization, and they are ready to be exported. At least the tree parts are. Now, because I have multiple colors of trees, what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to have a solid color. I'm not going to have a base color map like I normally do. I'm just going to make a mask, and that mask will determine the actual colors that get used in the individual tree materials. Oh, man. I have been having an off week for development. Let me tell you, even this dev stream feels bogged down and sluggish. Like something's wrong. Not sure what, though. Anyway, let's go ahead and go over here. Let's make leaves. I think, judging by the soreness in my joints, Hopefully I'm not getting sick. Although that would explain a lot. So I'm going to have my leaves. I'm just going to go ahead and press T. Let's go. Let's lock our previous layer so we don't mess anything up too. Nothing good. Select this. Let's set our size to, I'm going to guess 12. Leaves. And again, make sure that it's set to no anti-aliasing. Let's move up a little bit. Okay, 12 might be too extreme. Let's go to 14. We're getting somewhere. 18. Oh. No, it actually looks like it was 14. And I just need to change my spacing. -25. -50. Okay. Zoom in a little bit more. That's because the Photoshop fonts were a little different. But it looks like this is correct. I could also blow this up. Let's try 16. And then let's change this to -100. I actually like that a lot more. Alright. Let's do this again. Leaves. Only this time, it will be at 21. Nope, 24. 24 is looking about right. Gotta really pull things in though. 150. Okay, 125. There we go. That's not bad. It's going to be a little awkward because things aren't matching up exactly. And that's because when you start using really tiny fonts, really tiny font sizes, raster fonts, like the ones used in Photoshop, which the original texture was made in, get really weird. But it looks like vector fonts are a lot better at retaining their shapes at smaller sizes. So we'll just continue working our way down. Leaves. Move this into position. Let's go ahead and bump this up to 36. That's looking pretty much correct. Let's make this -100. It's like right on the money. Alright, let's go again. Leaves. We'll make him 48. Comes off very nice. Let's do -75. Nope, -85 maybe? Oh, not negative. Not that. -85. What about -80? And -90. Alright, -90. That works pretty well. Come back here. Leaves. That. Let's bump this up to 72. That's a little too large. Let's go to 60. Yeah, 60 is a little bit better. -100. -125. Oh, good. It's an uneven number. -120. 15. Cool. Alright. Let's move down a little bit more. Leaves. And 72. Yep, that looks good. After that, it's going to suck because I'm going to be guessing basically what I did. -100. That is a little rough, but I think it's close. Oh my god. Okay. So I got 3 more. Leaves. My finger. My right ring finger is, for some reason, hurting. Don't know what I did. I was typing too much today. Probably got carpal tunnel syndrome. Let's see. Let's go to 96. Boom! That was a really good guess. Needs to go a little bit more. Negative 110. Negative 105. Really? Negative 100. That's a little bleeding over to the right, but it looks fine overall. I can probably mitigate that by just moving it over one. All right. Leaves. Let's move this. I'm guessing this is 108. A little hard to see. Not quite. I did 120. That looks right. We'll do negative 125. Oh, we gotta go way more than that. I might go 175. Oof. Okay, 160. Not bad. That's pretty good. And the last one, which is going to be obscenely large, is going to be, I'm guessing the last one was 120, so this one's got to be 132. Oh, no, it's not even that. Oh, great. It's going to be awkward. So what, like 126? That's pretty close. Let's dump this down to negative 125. Even that's too much. 115. Really? Or 110. Alright. So that seems to work. So now we can zoom out, see everything. And that's our texture. So, man, I have room for a whole nother thing on there. I wonder what I could stick there. I've got like a whole half a texture not being used here. I could scale. I don't want to do that, but I could. I could basically scale the tree up a little bit so that it takes up sort of more of the space. The problem is I need to leave a box around the leaves here. So maybe I'll just leave everything where it is. It's kind of a weird situation with the UVs for this. So we might just do this then. Put this here, drag text above it, call this background. I'm going to change these to be white. Okay. Do our background, hit M. Change it to be black. Oh. Oh, no freaking way. There we go. So that ends up actually looking pretty good. Save that out. Lock that, make it invisible. Now the tree. Rename this to masks. So we have leaves. Call this base. Right. It's locked. Unlock that. Lock the leaves. Let's go down here. Click and drag this. Set this as background. Select this and make that. Make my text invisible for the time being. And then we're going to select these guys and set them to be white. Nice. Lock that, unlock text. Again, come down here, background, select that, make it black. Whole shape that fills everything. We'll just drag all of our words above it. select all of our colors. If it's going to work with me here. Seriously? Oh, it's because those are locked. Okay. It's like, why won't you let me select? Fill that into white. And there we go. So now we have all of our masks ready to go. You know what, I'm just going to do this. Text. Tree. Trunk. Turn you on. Lock you. Turn you off. Alright. So now I can get rid of my linked file. Everything should be ready to go. Hit save. Go back to Overworld, Planes, Tree.ai. Hit save. Delete. Normals. Normals aren't going to be that bad. It'll be fine with what I have. Let's delete this. Tree. Mask. Text. Alright. Recent files. Tree AI. Tree. Mask. Trunk. And then the last one. Which is leaves. Mask. Leaves. Alright. Alright. So now if we go over to Substance Designer. Do new substance. We'll call it tree. Metallic roughness. All that stuff's fine. We're going to link vector graphics. Go to Overworld Planes. Let's go to tree. Tree masks. Hit OK. Click on these. Drag them into the scene. Or the work area. I'm actually not sure what this area is called. Workbench. Work area. Node area. I'm sure it's got a name. Convert them all to grayscale images. No need for them to be color. They're just black and white. Ooh. They come in as terribly interpolated bitmapped. Oh, that's right, because so by default, we're going to change this to absolute for now. Do 124. Still kind of rasterized. That's a little disconcerting. Well, in any case. Oof. That's really bad. That really is bad. Ooh, that's just disgusting. I'm not sure what a good way to get around that would be. I would have to make that larger, I think. That would help some of it just by sheer resolution. But we'll work with what we got for now. Anyway. So these three masks are basically going to form the basis for everything we do here. So first off, we're going to have a blend node. And that might be work. Okay. Things have been on fire at work recently, so I need to always make sure that I have things ready to go in case I need to make some emergency fixes. So let's drag our base color up here. Drag our normal right there. Our roughness down to there, and our metallic down here. Now, what's nice is our rough... Oops. Oof. I don't know why I did that. Let's delete that. I meant to say uniform color. Our roughness and our metallic are simple to do. They're really, really easy for this. Just uniform color objects that we turn into grayscale objects. And then we change their size to always be by 16. I wonder if that actually has anything to do with how no, it shouldn't, because those maps are contained within one another with our normal issue, but that would make sense because I haven't started optimizing like this for the earlier um, substances. Oop. Got overworld plains, tree. We'll do some blend. And actually I'm going to go ahead and right click, say new folder, utils, new graph. And this is going to be mask. I guess total mask. Delete all four of those guys, and then we'll drag these guys in. Make sure they're grayscaled. Do a blend node. Do that. Set this to do max, and then we'll have our output. Bam. So we call this mask. All right. Click on this. Make sure its outputs are set to no, so we don't have to worry about that getting edited at runtime. And then we can come back to our tree. And the only reason I really want that is so that I can just drag this over here. And it'll be really easy for me to use the final mask. So, then we're going to have blend. Go ahead and grab this. Uniform color. Let's set this to be like a greenish color. I'm going to do blend. This might not actually even need, well, no, I will for that. Let's see, uniform color. That. Uniform color. That. Make it like a brownish. Make this a darker brownish. And then just need that. There's the background. There's the foreground. It's as simple as that. And then we'll have that as our background. Oh, I guess I don't even need this. So I can get rid of that whole graph. Look at that, isn't that convenient? And then bam. That is our texture map. It has a lot of wasted space in it. I really just think I need to blow this tree up a lot to help increase that resolution, because it's just so choppy. It looks terrible. And I'll go ahead and finish this up real quick. I'm going to have to make edits to this. I think I'm going to do it off the stream, though, because I am feeling a little blah. And also work is kind of knocking on my phone. So let's move this over here. Move this. Try to organize these as best I can, but there's no good, nice way to do it. Let's move this over here. I guess I could probably do this. And I can move this over here. That way not as many things are crossing over each other, at least. So, our normal map, let's see. We'll do normal. OpenGL. Let's do a wood noise. Wood fibers. Do transform 2D. Let's plug that in. Let's just multiply that so there's more of them noticeably. Move this, move that to there, and blend. I'm not going to do that. Let's see. Do blend node. Oh, maybe not. We can just do levels, I think. So let me grab my cellular. So cells. I think I'm going to do cells 2 to give a softer leaf. In the past, I've used cells 2. I meant cells 3, which is this very harsh pattern. But you can see that it sort of causes artifacts, and I actually don't think that leaves are going to be that harsh, so we can go a little smaller, a little more refined to make things just a little softer. And I will do levels so that I can adjust these a little bit. Let's say move this up just to make those cracks a little more defined. And besides that, I don't need to really do anything. I could probably darken. Yeah. Probably go. No. Okay, I think that might be good. Let's do our normal here. Again, OpenGL. And the last thing we need to do is a blend node, which is going to be super fun, with I'm not sure how I want to do this. Actually, I'm also going to do this over here. Add a transform 2D. Let's put this here. There we go. Just so that the leaves are a little bit more broken up, so they're smaller. The next thing I need to do is do a normal blend, not a normal combine. So normal blend is similar to a normal combined, except that it takes a mask that I can adjust things with. And we're going to just plug this in for our front, for our back. That will give us this normal. We can plug that in, and then boom. Just like that. Nice and clean. Now the only problem with this is that, well, you can see that there's a lot of normal information that doesn't need to be there. So, do a couple of things. Drag these guys out to here. Drag these guys out to here. And we're going to do another normal blend using our total mask. Down here. There's our front. And there we go. Although that does look like it is awkwardly affecting our lighting. So I probably need to have a base normal. So let's just go ahead and have another normal map. Oh look, normal color. How convenient. Let's put that there. So that opacity is probably... Ooh, what the heck? Oh, I was doing the wrong one. Sorry, that should be opacity. Don't know if I want to do anything with this, really. Not really doing anything. I mean, I guess that's fine. Yeah, everything seems to be good. We don't have that extra normal information, that we don't need it. It's only on our leaves. All right. So we could probably, let's expose everything first. I'm curious to just see what this looks like, honestly, in Unity. So I'm going to call this rough. Okay. Suppose this, call this metallic. Okay. Let's see. I'm also going to turn up my intensity on my wood to 1.5. Just drag it along and see what we can get. Yeah, we'll do 1.5. That's not terrible. Let's expose this color. Call it new color. Expose this. New text color. Okay. Expose and then new leaves color. Alright. Okay, so again, that's set to not do anything special. Let's come back to this tree. Label is just going to be tree. Author is me. Rough. Make this a slider. Clamp it. Metallic. Slider and clamp. Base color. That's all fine. Don't need to do anything extra there. Text color. It's fine. And then leaves color. And actually, I wonder if I could do this. Colors. I want to try and make more use of these these groups, because they basically allow you to nest things. I don't know if it actually looks like that in Unity. I don't remember, so we'll see. But it lets you basically group everything under a parent object in other substance inspectors. So let's save. Let's just see what it looks like in player real quick. Not bad, not great, but not bad. So you can see it's this drop down now, which is really nice. Change our wood color. Actually make it brighter, bright orange if we want, or blue. Okay, so all that looks good. Let's go ahead and save it out. Tree. I'm gonna hit cancel because I almost forgot. Make that relative to parent. Hit OK. Oh, and before I forget, I need to make sure that these are being generated as absolute values of 16. Make sure that this guy is doing a relative to parent for its blending. Same with this, relative to parent. And then set these guys to be absolute. So the reason that we do these absolute for the colors is because they're a solid color. So a 16 by 16 image is smaller and faster to load than a 1024 by 1024 image, either of which are all literally the exact same. They're just more pixels. But it's not like a solid 1024 by 1024 brown has different colors in it. So there we go. Now we can actually save this out. Make sure that we save it in the correct spot, which apparently it does not want to do. We'll go up one, two planes, tree.sbsir. All right. Let's come over here. Come over here. Let's pull a tree in. Okay. And I am just going to go ahead and take this tree. Okay. Apply the tree to it, and woohoo! That would be what it looks like without alpha. So we need to do cutout. And I am more than willing to bet that we could probably do this. crud. Yeah, it looks like it's... Okay. Well, that's just a UV issue. But on the whole, it doesn't actually look that bad. Um, I mean, yeah, everything's wrong, but I think that's a UV issue more than anything else. But it came out looking pretty decent. And again, I haven't baked a light map with it, so it's really hard to tell. But it looks like I think just everything's too low res in the actual texture. So yeah, I'm gonna probably have to just redo how I do trees entirely. I don't want to model an actual tree. I might have to, but I do not want to. Well, anyway, just gonna go ahead and bump this up to 16. Okay. Oh, that helped a lot actually. I think we're gonna call it there for tonight. I have some work-related things that I need to take care of, and I think I'm gonna eat some soup or drink some soup. I don't know if you eat or drink soup. Well, anyway, that'll be it for me. Assuming I'm not ill, because I'm kind of feeling bad. On Thursday, we will do programming. Probably go over some of the programming changes I've made since last time. Talk a little bit more about the save system. Make sure that everything works. Trying to get everything, consolidated into an actual functioning build because I'm tired of everything being broken while I work on art assets. That's just not a good, healthy way to live. So that'll be it for the stream, and I'm a little disappointed. I scared away basically everyone because I've been so today. Because I actually have a new transition for when I end my streams, and I wanted to try it out. Hopefully people will like it. But that's going to be it for the stream. The transition that I'm going to try is I've worked on a lot of game projects over the years, and I still have a lot of the music from those games. So I've asked a couple of the composers that I've worked with in the past if it's okay if I use these musical pieces from canceled games. And I would just like them to be my outro, basically. So be able to give you guys a good sample of some good musicians and some of the music on games or from games that got canceled, sadly. So that's going to do it for me tonight. As always, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.